Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre, and this is the time where I say, please hit that subscribe button and like and comment and hit that alert button. So we're going to start off with what happened as in the month of review here. So we're going to start off a little bit on a sad note here. Let's talk about days ago, the loss of the great George Foreman. So yes, I flashed both of them up here because once you look at it, this is it. It's Ali, Frazier, and Foreman. It's end of an era when boxing was like the most amazing thing. It was so important. It was a worldwide event. Back when we just started getting color. And it was crazy because these were on network television. I remember watching videos where at school they stopped class because some of these were fought in the afternoon, and the kids would all gather around and listen on the radio. This is all before everything cost a fortune and went to pay-per-view and everything. These were men that fought with – they were the best of the best because I could tell you since Tyson and like Lance Lewis – I don't know who the heavyweight champion of the world is. I did keep up with like Bernard Hopkins, De La Hoya, Mayweather. But as far as heavyweight boxing, you guys could jump in here.
Daniel Dubois, I believe. Tyson Fury, a short while ago. Alexander Usyk. I'm a fan of all of them. I still keep up.
That's good. Dave, your thoughts on pick any
I mean, just to kind of illustrate, I don't follow boxing in any way, shape, or form. I knew who George Foreman was. I knew who Muhammad Ali was. Partly, I knew Foreman because when I was a kid, we had the Foreman grill, and we ate many a grilled chicken off of that. And like as a kid, I knew him as like, oh, he's the grill guy. And then later someone's like, he used to be a boxer too, right? But just the fact that, he was pervasive like into the pop culture, that even to a guy like me that didn't follow wrestling at all, I knew his name. I knew who he was. I would recognize him, if I saw a picture of him.
Absolutely. And for a lot of people don't know this, but he was the second guy offered for the grill. The original guy they wanted was Hulk Hogan, and something didn't work out. And so he was second. I know he made a fortune off of them because
the Hogan grill just doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, yeah.
I don't know that I would have trusted anything eaten off that.
Yeah, but it's sad because I just think here's what I always tell people the last 15, 20 years. I always say name boxers, like current boxers. They're lucky if you can name 5. That included myself. Then I could say name current UFC fighters, and like you could do like everybody knows like at least a dozen to 20, because that's how amazing that sport just took over. And I know there's talks of Dana White. I think he just got some sort of brought into boxing, like the kind of because he came from the boxing world. So. If anyone is going to bring that back, I do think it's, the people in charge, because how could you just not know how to market these people? I don't see people in commercials. UFC, you can't. It's everywhere.
Bud Light, Modelo, they're in every commercial,
Yeah. So it's a sad era here. And I always said, David and I being Philly natives here, right? Like, I don't know why there's not a Joe Frazier and a Bernard Hopkins statue here. I just don't know why. They represent the city so well. And I tell everybody right now, if this is intriguing to you, you go to YouTube. Every one of these guys' fights are like free. You can watch the Ali Frazier. You can watch Foreman literally kill Joe Frazier. But I got to go back one more with this guy and just say, Ross, it had to been about 20, even 25 years ago when a 45-year-old George Foreman beat Michael Moore, who was like undefeated. He was 26 years old and like knocked him that he couldn't even get up. It's like that was just beautiful. And since I'm a guy in my 40s now, like you root for the old guy, and he defended the belt for a while.
if I'm not mistaken, after his loss to Ali, possibly he fought 3 or was it 4 guys in one
4
night,
guys.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Beat, I think, all of them. So
Yeah. Yep.
rather difficult to do, I'd imagine.
And also he went away, like, because he got called God called him, and he also he opened up like a YMCA for the youth where he was and everything. So I mean, he was really tied up with his community and everything. So like this, all of a sudden, hey, I'm making a comeback, Raider. That's hard to do. Everybody knows, like, once you kind of break your exercise and you start losing your body a little bit, how hard it is to even attempt to get back to it. So
Find the motivation again, etc.
Yep. All right. Next topic. I gotta go. I got a lot to say with this one. The movie of the year, Nora. All right. No, I kind of jumped on this back in January. I talked about we're at the point we don't even need award shows. I don't know, other than Dune 2, if you want to say that Wizard of Oz, if you want to give that somewhat of credit, this is what I call a forced award show. I really do love this actress, by the way, and I'm just like, all right, one, you got to give this movie a shot. So I recently rented this movie. I'll do a couple praises here because I'll do the positives. Number one, we've obviously been lacking the last 5 years of any sort of nudity or contact or anything strong sexually wise, or hey, don't go there. The world's different now. I love this movie because these two.
Definitely the first half hour.
I know, for just constant sex. It was nonstop. I was like, cool, but now award shows. I know David said about in a couple of the previous podcasts, like 94, the best films were what? Was it the Quiz movie?
So 94, you had Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Quiz Show, and Shawshank Redemption all up for Best Picture.
That's just
hell of a year to be
hell
nominated.
of a year. And now
all deserved it.
A film like this is up there. To me, if you took that list, if our films were as powerful as that list that Dave just gave, this film would have not even been allowed in the building. So this is why I don't like the film overall. It's a stripper, and in comes a young kid from Russia, and he's just really immature. I think he was 23 years old. It's daddy's money. This is someone who has Ted Turner's kid or Elon Musk's kid, someone who's never going to have to work, that has no responsibility, has more money than God, picks up the stripper, starts to kind of have a relationship, and then when his drunk himself says, hey, want to get married? They get married. And after about a week, the family finds out and says, oh, no, this isn't happening. We're stopping this right now. That's basically the blunt of this movie. Now, here's my problem with all films and what the big problem I have with this one. She's the lead, Mikey Madison, and I don't even remember the actor who's the opposite of her, the rich kid. The rich kid, we got to know a little bit. All you had to hear was mom and dad's money. That's what's feeding him, keeping his party lifestyle going. And then when they threaten to take the money away, he kicks her to the curb, basically saying, I choose this lifestyle over you. I want a divorce. I didn't really get to know him besides that. He's obviously a guy, to the audience, you're not supposed to like him. So, okay, that makes him the bad guy. Here's my problem with her character. You'll favor her because she's more gutsy and has more honor, but she's not really likable. I didn't really care. I didn't get to know her too well. There was a really quick story about her mom and her sister, but these were just characters I didn't care about. I want to care about and root for characters. Again, as I said, Dune, you rooted for the Atreides house and all that. You're yeah, it's explained. This was just another. To me, this was a throwaway movie, and the fact that it won so many awards and this is solidified as the movie of 2024, is saying Hollywood, like this should have just took the year off. You really should have just took the year off. I know Dave's the only other guy that saw this, so this is your cue.
In the words of my cousin Vinny, everything that guy just said. No, so I liked it. I see what you're saying. I don't think it's so much that like she's not likable. I found her interesting.
So did I, but that didn't make her likable.
I'm okay with my characters just being interesting because I was on board with like, the bumbling Russian, goons that worked for his parents with her trying to find him, in Brighton Beach, New York. I was just on board with that because it was just like this insane, where is this going to go? Like, I kind of love how it starts off as basically an X-rated version of Pretty Woman.
That's what it is. Yes,
that's like the first half hour.
I always said it's the adult version of what Pretty Woman is. Yeah, but the same ending.
and then it turns into Uncut Gems.
Yes,
and I was okay with that. I was entertained by it, and I don't know. I guess, and maybe I don't necessarily have to root for the characters, but I have to find them interesting. And I found every one of them, including the bumbling, goons, to be interesting. Because, like, you could see how they're like, can't we just find, like, they're frustrated. Mm-hmm. They're fed up with this. They're like holding her prisoner, and they're like, look, we're in just as much trouble as you are. Like, even worse, because we actually work for his parents.
Uh-huh.
And
well, here's my only pushback towards what you said. I'm fine. Everyone can watch it, everybody can like it. I'm not telling anybody not to like it. Here's my issue that I have to like firmly come down with. Dude, how could this still be the movie of the year though?
So as a horror fan,
but I mean
I was rooting for the substance.
Okay.
As you know. I was wishing Nosferatu had been nominated for more. I would have been more happy with that. That said, I was happy with her winning Best Actress, and I think that was the most deserved award.
Yeah.
I met her last year at Monster Mania. I'm glad I did, because I guarantee you're never going to see her there again after winning an Oscar.
Nice call.
I'm glad I met her when I did.
I walked past her.
She was really sweet in person.
I'll be like, I walked past her and she was very beautiful. I was like, wow. I was like, okay. But Ross, I realize you didn't see it, but your thoughts, even if they're small.
Yeah, I think that this is the trend with what I gather from you guys, where there's just nothing really like stellar about the film. I mean, I'd have to see more of her performance to see if it warranted the Best Actress. As far as like, I would equate it to not buying in, not rooting for the character, or getting to know them, or the likability aspect, right? Like I'd parallel that to something totally unrelated, but Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry is pretty far from a likable character. He's like insulting the rest of the guys he works with, using racist terminology to his fellow officers. There's nothing particularly likable about the guy, but he's such a badass that he carries 5 or 6 movies of a franchise, and everybody loves him.
Fun to watch.
But personality, likability, not the same thing. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. And you could even throw the movie that he won Movie of the Year over the Gran Torino. Like that guy wasn't exactly liked, but there's a part
supposed to be unlikable in that movie. That was the point.
But you at least got to know the guy and saw his character arc of how he goes out. Like, he's saying all the racist stuff about, calling. I'm not saying that on YouTube, but he's calling.
Don't get canceled now.
Exactly. Well, I'm not worried about cancel. I'm not worried about getting the video
demonetized.
but basically, was it Ty or Tao or whatever? Like the people he hated since the war, he makes up with, and then he gives his life to save him. That's a beautiful character arc.
For sure.
And this girl, to me, the only thing I liked, I gotta give a little bit at the end, she hooks up with Igor. Igor, by the way, the character Igor's I thought was the most likable. I didn't get to know him, but when she hooks up with Igor at the end, in the middle, it starts crying.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, the spoilers, but when she cried, I was just like, I get it. Like, she doesn't know what to do. Like, this is it.
He was the only character that treated her like a human being.
Yes, but we still didn't get to know him. So to me, it's just a film. It's worth checking out. I don't think I'll ever watch it again unless I'm scrolling through the channels and it's the first part of the movie. Because I'm like, I'll watch this for a bit.
No, and like, I'm glad as a fan of like independent film, I'd rather see the $6 million indie film win than like the giant blockbuster that was just a soulless cash grab win. Like, at least like Sean Baker, he won best screenplay, he won best director, won best picture. I'm happy to see like a passionate artist win for a movie they were passionate about making.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna move on, and dun dun dun. Time to shake this up. All right, we ready? This could go in a lot of different directions, but I'm gonna try to stick on one topic of this person. Oh, dun dun dun! All right.
I think
what I want to talk about here with this is isn't a giant Elon form of everything he's doing or Doge. What I'm asking, the question I got to ask the world. So Elon, whether you like them, hate them now, whatever, this was the answers for everybody. Everybody wanted an electric car. We've got to save the planet. We're going to die. We're going to die without it. Which, by the way, these cars were always powered by electricity, which is powered by coal. So you weren't really saving anything. But everybody went crazy for this and wanted it. So now all of a sudden, we don't like him because he switched teams. So you attack the dealers across the country. I'm watching people buy these videos of people buying Teslas and burning them. I don't understand. That's like someone saying, Lauren, I don't like your dark military movie. I'll buy your Blu-ray, your T-shirt, all your merch, and then I'm going to burn it. Well, you still, I get it, but like you also supported me.
Still put money in my pocket.
Understand what is going on with these protests at all. And when I see like Elvira and Sheryl Crow like making these videos of I sold my Tesla, it's like, well, did you buy the Tesla to save the planet? Because now what? Now you're going to just go back to a gas car? And someone like Sheryl Crow, who I think it was, Dave, you might be able to help me out here. I think it was when Barack was around, we had a bailout. AIG, the insurance company, was about to go under, and they got saved in the bailout. They threw a party for themselves and paid Sheryl Crow to play for them, and she took the money. So I don't think Sheryl Crow should ever be talking political like this. Get out of here. Like, I didn't forget what you did either, So, Dave, I know you're a giant fan of Elon. Go for it on this topic.
All right. So, I'll say this. I have been boycotting Teslas ever since they came out, purely for the fact that I've never been able to afford a Tesla. So, like, this whole, like, boycott Tesla, I wasn't buying one. Like, I don't have Cybertruck money lying around. All right. Never did. I was never going to buy that. What people choose to buy and sell is their business. Obviously, I draw the line at, setting fire to dealerships and I won't go
to get the insurance money anyway. Like, you didn't stop anything.
I won't go so far as to say that's domestic terrorism. I would call it vandalism and destruction of property because that's what it is. I also think it's really interesting and ironic, to your point, Lauren. 10 years ago, it was the left who was like, we got to get these Teslas, we got to do electric cars. And the right kind of looked at them with derision. And now it's completely switched, where it's like the left, we don't like Tesla because of Musk. And the right is like, we got to support Tesla because of Musk. But it's like, it's interesting to me that the guy who was behind the electric car switched over to the side that didn't like electric cars for a very long time.
All right, so I got two things for before I shoot it over to Ross here. Number one, I'm right with you, Dave. I never want an electric car. I know people that like you can't drive cross country, like you have to stop. You're wasting time. Like I just can't do it.
And to be fair, they're not the only company making electric cars either.
You're right, but
so like someone could theoretically sell their Tesla and then go buy a different company's one. But like whatever.
But to me, like until there is a time we're going to have something. To me, we're not there yet. Even between these Teslas or whatever company, we're not there yet. So I got to go with what I've known my entire life. So I'm not switching for
I drive a used Kia Soul,
and I have a brand new Kia Soul, and it's cheap. You're right; they're great. And but when you say they switch, I looked at it was what we got when Biden got in charge. It was like, we're going to shut things down and you've got to buy the electric cars because I believe the Dems just took all their money and invested over here. So we're telling the environment, help the environment, whatever, get the thing sold, where the right had the oil money. So it's like, no, stick to the cars. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the right, I'll go get you, is switching to the other side. I just think it's kind of like, we'll open the door to that too. Like, let's just kind of get profit from all of it.
Free market, making money is making money, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. And
yeah, Ross, you?
I mean, I'm like a massive fanboy of what like Tesla stands for in terms of taking the brand name from Nikola Tesla, obviously a genius scientist in alternative energy and all that. We kind of touched on it last time. I think I used to be a much bigger fan of Elon in the early days. Not so hot on what he did. Not that I'm against, like Doge and cutting the fraud and waste, because I think anybody would be for that. I think it's more about like the method, the way it goes. As far as like the backlash against Tesla vandalizing the cars, as Dave said, yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. It just, again, you could go buy another brand, as Dave just said. You could go buy a Rivian. You don't need to go to destroy Teslas. Honestly, I think a lot of that destruction is, from what I heard, they recalled the Cybertruck. I haven't really verified that, but
that it was an unrelated mechanical issue. The steel panel came off, or
as cars get
bad timing, very bad timing,
very bad timing.
But everything else,
every car I've ever owned has had a recall on it. So,
but not because of the boycotts or because of Musk. Just very unfortunate coincidence. Timing.
My whole thing is why I'm bringing it up is no matter how many people are jumping on the comments on this, like I just think attacking the dealership and it's all wrong. Elon and Tesla, the holders are still winning. They're going to get the insurance money. Like when you don't like something, like I don't like the Walmart people, I don't support Walmart. I don't go in there or anything they're attached to. That's the best way. So whether it's Tesla or you're upset about something, you don't support them. But I'm not going to go to Walmart and set it on fire and walk away. They can't run anymore. Like they're going to get insurance money and then be reopened pretty quickly. Like use your head, everybody, please.
Yeah. It doesn't really make that much sense. But we did get a few gems, such as "It's all computer" and "I love Tesla" from Trump. So I was a fan of those quotes.
Yeah. He's the best guy to listen to talk. All right. Next, let's keep it going with a recent event of a topic that's been around for about 70 years. The release of somewhat, let's just say, release of the JFK files. So this is obviously something. You know how many people passed away that are no longer with us, like went to the grave still not knowing? And recently they released something, and it's like to Trump and his administration, clap, stop. Wait, but it's not enough, dude. Like from what I read,
it's never gonna be, because those the actual records that say something were burned 60 years ago.
Probably, but even with that though, like even if you burn, the government knows. Someone's talking and passing it down. Like so, it's in a small way though. It wasn't. There was stuff you learned, okay, but it wasn't nothing like we didn't kind of already know. 2 shooters, The CIA was mad at JFK. JFK didn't want to go to war. Let's get LBJ in there. It didn't overdo it. It just seemed like, I don't know, almost like you should. From what I was reading so far, there's so much more to read, that they just kind of switched the paragraphs around a little bit, reworded it. I don't think they really. And I don't know if Robert Kennedy Jr. like was waiting for this too, and he's part of the ministry. Like, I don't know if he could be this happy over what's been released so far.
I think it was certainly a victory lap that, to your point, they'd be like, oh, look what we did, without actually doing anything. I pretty much, since I was in high school, was reserved to the reality that we are never going to know the exact truth of it. We can theorize, we can suspect, we can draw conclusions, whatever, but we will never know. And we just kind of have to accept that.
I think you're right on that.
Without a time machine,
You're right, and it's one of those. Okay, so let's say the CIA was. Let's just say it's them, right? They take them. So everyone in America will be like, "We got to shut down the CIA." Well, the CIA will just form into a new group called like the AIC. So like you didn't. Yeah. It's not about, like, I guarantee there's a very small percentage of those people even alive that were a part of it.
That's what I mean. No one in the CIA now was working for the CIA in 1963.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Ross, I know this is, since you're like, your podcast is a lot about murder and all that stuff and past events. Like, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I've been following this one pretty much since day one, but I'm born in the mid 80s, so that's still way before day one actually happened. So for those who don't know, my mom's side of the family is related to like Jackie O's family, so I've been following this for a long time. There is a few things in here though. I think there's a few more than you guys gave credit. So Angleton lied about the Oswald involvement. So he had the FBI reports on his desk that Oswald was in Dallas before it happened, or like, you know what I mean? So they knew he was going to be there. So it pretty much only leads to kind of two conclusions, which is either like they kind of let Oswald be there because they were tracking him for months now, or they had, like you guys were saying, they had actual hand in it. So that's kind of really the only two options there. Oswald was watched, and in Dallas, there was a big story about his Mexico trip. And then they had floated the narrative that Oswald didn't go to Mexico. And then a VHS tape pops up of footage of him in Mexico. So I think it was Mexico City. But I think really, like, the big problems are none of the actual CIA documents are released. If I'm not mistaken, these are all FBI documents. And there is some crossover, but maybe not as much as people think. But like, as far as
they don't
Warren
like talking
Commission,
to each other.
Right, yeah. As far as the Warren Commission, when people like jump on like someone like me who just doesn't believe in the Warren Commission's findings, well, LBJ didn't believe in the Warren Commission's findings. He's the actual person who commissioned the Warren Commission. So like a big argument there is like, well, if he doesn't believe it, why should any of us? The magic bullet theory is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. I challenge any person to find any crime that even remotely has a magic bullet like that. I mean, any crime, a local crime, a big one, small, medium, anything. You're never going to find anything where a bullet zigzagged between multiple people like that. At least not any that's ever been publicly analyzed. So that was absolute nonsense. Oswald and Ruby met at a club. It's established previously before this. They've tried to make a big deal about like, did they know each other? Obviously that they did. I think it would be totally random. And it's now pretty much established that the kind of organized crime hand was getting rid of Oswald. He was the loose end. So obviously Ruby took that upon himself. It's not really established whether Ruby had any thoughts or opinion on JFK, John F. Kennedy, but he definitely was not a fan of his brother, like you guys were saying, with the Attorney General who cracked down on organized crime. There's more stuff in there about COINTELPRO and stuff like that. Jolly West, I recommend everybody read Chaos. But the real big things are that, you know what I mean, Oswald was pretty much tracked for the most time. So, I mean, I think, like what you guys were saying, more than one shooter. I mean, I have my doubts if Oswald was a shooter at all. If you follow, I'm sure you guys have both seen JFK by Oliver Stone. If you follow that narrative, it doesn't really put him in the window. In the building, yes, but in the window, that's debatable. So yeah, I would say like at least like 2 to 3 shooters. It's a very difficult thing that just to unpack the whole thing. I think these files are helping. I think there still could be more releases, right? I think they're still dumping stuff. But again, I to Dave's point, I wouldn't say like we'll never know, but it might take pressure to get like the CIA documents released. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, it's probably going to make Angleton look pretty bad. It's probably going to make Dulles look pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty well established that all these guys pretty much hated JFK. And the way Lauren started, JFK was looking to shut down the Central Intelligence Agency before any of this stuff even happened. So, you know what I mean?
His list of
not that it
enemies
actually
didn't
does
help.
anything because they could rebrand, like Lauren said.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dave.
But no, I just, to your point, I'd be any documents out there that actually give us something solid or concrete. I severely doubt those documents are still intact.
Yeah, that's
because if I was in on it, I would have burned them 60 years ago.
So
right,
they make mistakes, right? If you
they do, and it's possible. And yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I'm like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. I hope I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Please prove me wrong.
Yeah, for sure. So, like if you read Chaos by Tom O'Neill, there's a documentary on Netflix now about his Chaos book, and I actually interviewed him on my channel. He found like firsthand the MK Ultra documents where that was a CIA black op, and there was a big thing like none of it exists, like you were saying, Dave. But he basically found them in a random place. Basically at a university where it was just correspondence between these like basically scientists, and it was all in there. You know what I mean? So it's it could always pop up at a random place.
If there were classified documents at the bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, I'm sure there's something out there.
I hear it, man, for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's going in the right direction. I wish RFK Jr. could have got a little bit more out of it, like Lauren was saying, but one that I probably know even more about is the actual assassination of Bobby Kennedy, because that is a total mess. I mean, JFK is the big thing, right? Because it happens in Dallas Square, and you got the Zapruder film and all that stuff. But with Bobby Kennedy, I mean, it's clearly obvious that the shots came from behind him, from the muzzle burns on his neck. The only guy standing behind him was that Secret Service agent that hated the Kennedys. So there's Bobby's on YouTube talking about that, and O'Neill and all those guys. So it's out there, but it's interesting,
It's one of the. I mean, it's a presidential assassination. It's one of the 3 events of the last 100 years: Pearl Harbor, JFK, and 9/11. That anyone who was alive when it happened can tell you exactly where they were when they heard the news.
You're right.
So it's always going to be the subject of intrigue and study, and it's always going to be one of the most defining moments of the 20th century.
And with that, we're going to move to the last month in review, and let's bring in the career killer. Let's talk about Snow White. Thank you, Rachel, because I believe the woke is finally dead, and I have to give you the credit for it. Let me just bring this up here. I growing up, I was such, Ross knows he's run, not too far behind me, but like, I was a G.I. Joe, He-Man, all that. Like I Snow White, I still never saw Snow White. I'm not watching that. I'm not watching Sounds of Music. I don't watch any cartoon. But that being said, zero problems if they want to make a live action movie. Go for it. But right out of the gate, you brought in, again, possibly the worst person. This is where woke gets out of control, and actors need to know. Your job is to entertain everybody, not cut the country in half and say, half of you are white supremacists or whatever the hell this woman said. And she is not a fan. That was one of the worst, to me, the worst thing she could have said. You don't say you're not a fan of the original, and then you're the one in being Snow White. I didn't really care that she wasn't white. I didn't care about any of that. That didn't bother me at all. I know the girl, she came from Broadway and all that, and she could sing. Good, but the fact that like, oh, I'm a woman and I'm going to lead. I don't need no man and all that. We're going to rewrite history, and then you cut up 7 dwarf jobs that should have actually went to dwarfs. I mean, I don't understand. I just think the whole woke thing got way out of control. You're offending the woke people that wanted dwarves in there too, like real jobs. Like Peter Dinklage can't be the guy, and that's it. No one else is allowed to be in Hollywood.
Now, nobody told Disney they had to listen to him, though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, but to me, this isn't a Disney thing. I think all of Hollywood guys, make your film the way you want to make it. Stop checking boxes. Stop worrying about offending this and offending that. Because you know what? All the movies before the woke are the ones that we love. And look at something that's dated. Things are dated. You could go look at Happy Days and all that. If you really want to go back, you could pick something out of episodes like, wow, that really happened. But sorry, I'm Gen X and Married with Children, and you can go back, All in the Family, Stanford and Son. Like, I don't care. Nothing bothers me because I know it's not truly done in hate. It's supposed to be entertainment. Roseanne, all of it. It's all good, but the fact that Disney, I don't know why these big studios don't get their lead actors in order of, like, when you're talking. Like, what would you say? Okay, absolutely don't say that. How about this? We're going to give you some bullet points, but, like, maybe stay away from this. The fact that you said that's like Hugh Jackman, like, getting the role of Wolverine and being like, yeah, actually, I hate comic books, but yeah, I'll play Wolverine. I think this is a big problem that she's a young girl living in the cyberspace of social media. And when you get all likes, everything I say, everybody likes, like, I am an influencer and I will speak my mind. No matter what, I have these people. But you're not looking out for the studios. Rachel Zegler is now going to be put in the doghouse. She's never going to get a leading role. She's probably going to go away for about 10 years. Maybe she'll pop up on TV shows. But until she matures a little more, she's box office poison. That's her new title. She's box office poison. Oh, yeah. And I blame Disney from not, keeping this girl in order. I don't know. Like, Dave, I know you're the one that you got kids, and I understand that, and you guys went.
So I'm the only one of the three of us that has probably seen it because I took my kids to see it over the weekend.
Well, you got a couple.
I'm wearing my Stitch Dad shirt.
Yeah. You got a
couple to have survived.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It's interesting to me because this movie was dead 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy part is, after having seen it, the movie itself is okay. It's not great. It has plenty of issues. Believe you me, it has plenty of the live action reboot issues. Gal Gadot is one of its big. She can't sing. She can't act. She sings a song, and like my ears are bleeding. And the ironic thing is Rachel Zegler is actually probably the best part of the movie. If I'm just judging the movie itself, she can sing her heart out. She does. And she's a great actress because I know she doesn't like Snow White. I heard that interview, but she plays the character really, really well. So it kind of sucks that she killed the movie 3 years ago with that interview. When I think it would, I'm not saying it was going to be like $1 billion or whatever, but I think it had a chance. And I think, I
kept their mouth shut. I think it went exactly because I've heard it wasn't that bad.
It's not. And I know the term woke keeps getting thrown out there. I don't feel like the movie itself is trying to tick the boxes, maybe a little bit. I think she sold it as much more of that than it actually was. Because it's not. there is a prince in it. I know she said in the interview, oh, maybe we won't even have a prince. No, he's there. And yes, you had to update some things. The original movie, like, it's okay to say the originals from 1937, movies were different back then. It's kind of weak on plot because movies were like that back then. So we're going to have to add some stuff. And like,
all I'm trying to say is like, we're going to hold, we're going to tribute the past, but also bring it more into modern times. That's all she had to say.
And I feel like that's what it does. But the movie's getting eviscerated because of what she said, because she openly told half the audience, don't go see it because I don't like you.
Yeah. And this is the same. This is also the same
killed
girl. This is also the same girl on November 5th when Trump won, did a rant about like the country's racist, and it got taken down. But like she went and did a rant, so that didn't help. I think she had to do an apology.
To be fair, I don't know. You say like Disney needs to. I don't know how much Disney's been talking to her behind the scenes. Yeah. I know that, like, in a literal sense, they can't control her. They can't make her say what, maybe for all we know, she's been having meetings behind the scenes. I know recently when she was introducing it at D23, she said like Free Palestine. And one of the Disney, which, I mean, you're allowed to have whatever opinion you want, but I heard that there was like a Disney executive that like went to her and said, please take that down, and she wouldn't. So for all we know, behind the scenes, someone at Disney's losing their hair, being like, please stop talking. Yeah. Please, you're killing the movie. Please stop. Just let the movie come out. Why do you think they canceled the premiere?
She almost did, not literally the way this guy did it, but when Bordello of Blood came out in like 1992 or 93 with Dennis Miller went on a late night talk show. It might have been Arsenio Hall. And he says, hey, you got a new movie coming out. And he's like, don't go see it. Like because he hated the directors and the producers. Like no one go to the theater. So it was like, that's why you never saw Dennis Miller as a lead ever again, because he deliberately said that. I mean, he was funny about it, but it was serious. And Bordello of Blood was still not really that great of a movie to begin with. I still went anyway, but there's got to be a clause put in of like, you cannot, you got to have a public image and you could only say so much. And my biggest problem with Hollywood, when you just say when I keep going back to the woke thing of what's happened the last 5 years, we got garbage and Nora ends up winning the movie of the year. Regardless, I don't care what your side of the fence is when it comes to politics. You're an American. Have it. Speak it. But when it comes to entertainment, you got to dial it back. Like the late night talk shows with like Jimmy Kimmel and all, like, and Fallon and the other dude, like their ratings have been cut in half because you make fun of half of the country on a daily basis. So you're not doing justice to the show. You're not doing justice to all your advertisers. And if I was in charge, I'd be losing my mind because I'd be like, we're only getting half the money here, pal. Like
I'm sure those contracts are gonna look different going forward.
Oh, I think they are too, friend.
But again, I think it's a shame because it's got a 2.3 on IMDb and it doesn't deserve it. The movie, like if I'm just judging the movie on its own, it deserves a 4 or 5. Somewhere more
average. About
I didn't know if you boys knew this, but the great critical drinker, on YouTube, you should. He did a review. I think it was 6 months ago when the trailer came out. Snow White is the #1 trailer ever to get 1 million dislikes.
Wow!
And none of that had actually anything to do with the movie itself.
It was her. That's
her.
She
killed it.
Yes. And when I say like the woke thing got out of control, it's like, again, the dwarves should have been actors. Like they were saying, like, well, they didn't want to offend anyone, so we made them CGI. I was like, well, you took 7 actors.
No, so here's the thing about the dwarves, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. There are 7 bandits in the movie that when the original like set photos came out, one of them is played by a dwarf actor. I think
didn't they actually cast that as actors and then they changed?
Yeah. No, so I think those 7 bandits that he's not a prince, he's a bandit. that, like, he's kind of more of like a Robin Hood, which again, I'm fine with that change because it makes sense for this story because they're like leading a rebellion against the evil queen, which makes sense story-wise. That being said, I think those 7 bandits were supposed to be the new dwarves. But then there was the backlash because we do get the creepy CGI Uncanny Valley dwarves, and that whole sequence is like shot for shot the same from the original movie. It's also stitched right in the middle of the movie, and then the dwarves don't do much the rest of the movie. They're kind of just there in the background. I would bet money that was added later in reshoots and that those 7 bandits were supposed to be the 7 dwarves.
Okay.
I can't prove it, but I suspect it.
I'll pass
just like JFK. I can't prove it.
I'm going to pass the buck to Ross in a second. I'm just going to say 2 quick things. This made $43 million over the weekend, and I don't know, Dave, you probably know, they put like $300 million into this.
Yeah, it was expensive.
Yeah, it was at least $100 million.
Your first week.
I'm guilty. I'm part of the $43 million because I took my family to see.
Well, I'm like, I had to say, I hate saying I root for movies to fail, but I want this to fail. And second week, it's not going to make $43 million. So this is going to be one hell of a drop off. I think it's a giant wake up call. I also will say, when you say casting, Rachel Zegler's good looking girl. Rachel got, our Wonder Woman. Gott is supposed to be jealous of Rachel Zegler. I don't know about you, but I'd rather date Gott any day of the week. I think even as the princess, as the evil villain, she was still better looking than Snow White. So I should have.
In a purely, I get what you're saying. Ziegler sings better. If you're casting it based on singing ability, she starred in the Spielberg remake of West Side Story. She can sing. Like if that was your criteria,
I never said she couldn't act. I said I never knocked that. Never said that. Oh, she could sing or not. It's just her.
Let's not forget, this is not the first recent live action version of Snow White. It's the first one that Disney did remaking their own movie. But a decade ago, we had Mirror Mirror with what's her name? Lily Collins as Snow White and Julia Roberts as the Evil Queen, and Snow White and the Huntsman with Kristen Stewart as Snow White and Charlize Theron as the Evil Queen and Chris Hemsworth as the Huntsman.
My whole point was
didn't that also bum?
Yeah. My whole point
is sequel.
Yeah. True. I just think Gail is better looking than Rachel Zegler. That's my whole point. So for the fact that Gail would be jealous of this girl, I was just like, I think it's hilarious. I think if it was anything, maybe you should put some scars on like Gail. It's kind of like, this is a landslide. Snow White's the one you want to be with. Ross, your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, it looks like 250 billion estimated gross worldwide. It's like 88 right now. I know you guys are playing the blame game, and definitely Lauren is right on the Hollywood woke agenda, which I take it this was, kind of done during that period. And then I personally blame Disney just because they've had quite a few bombs now, right? And a massive series of missteps. I forget her name, but I only know it because South Park was ripping on her. Is it
Kathleen Kennedy?
The Kathleen Kennedy. So I figured
take your gay.
Now you can't blame her for Snow White. She was Lucasfilm.
She was Lucas. Okay. Yeah, so I figured like they get a lot of flack over there at the Disney upper brass. I'm just not a fan of the new school remakes. I mean, Dave's point stands that you do have to update things and stories. Nothing lasts forever. But I mean, I'm just a much bigger fan of like the original animations. Like even when they were doing Lion King, from what I saw of it with the CGI, it just doesn't work.
Live action Lion King.
I don't understand why they just can't get those like original style artists and then add the computer effects and make it like a new old school thing.
I took my daughter to see Mufasa back in December, and we left halfway through because she's like, "Daddy, this movie is boring. Can we go?"
Wow. That's exactly what I mean. You're rehashing this.
Now she liked Snow White, but she got bored with Mufasa.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
that's exactly what I mean. And then like there's like Lion King 4 and 5 and these CGI remakes. Like I see the posters when I'm at the theater, maybe, and I see like some of the trailers, like maybe with like me and Lauren go to the theater or whatever. Maybe if unfortunately for me comes on when I'm at an action movie or whatever. But I personally I blame Disney, and this all started back when Disney acquired Star Wars and they acquired Marvel, and like guys like me and Lauren that grew up on these kind of hardcore, R-rated vigilante characters like Punisher, it was just a terrible day. And then, Star Wars could have went in a much better direction. They just kind of put it on the assembly line and just mass produced it. But also, other ones I'm worried about are other R-rated properties. If I'm not mistaken, all the 21st Century Fox stuff, Alien. You could see what me and Lauren had to say about Romulus, and then Alien Earth is coming out now. I literally think Disney doesn't know what to do with an R-rated property, or at least they haven't figured it out yet. And they've owned some of these, like Predator's been on ice for a while. They've owned some of these for a long time.
One day, I don't know if Disney will still like maybe lease it out a film or two. Like you could take this and we're just going to back off and you do what you want. Or maybe the product could maybe even be sold, because rumor has it Star Wars is on the block of being sold off of Disney because there's just so much content and there's so much debt that there's a rumor that Star Wars franchise is for sale.
That'd be nice.
Second, someone gets a hold of that and really makes the dark one. I'm talking past dark of Empire, like goes, this ain't for kids. The light's coming back.
I'm still waiting for a slasher film set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you could do.
Jason Voorhees with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we had that movie already. It was Jason X.
Well, guys, we just did 2 shows here, so they'll be airing, in pieces. But with that, I tell everybody, thank you for stopping by and checking out the show. Hit that subscribe button. Please come at us, positive or negative, in the comments. Maybe we'll do a follow-up to that. And please stand by for my film directory at the ending credits, where you can see all my projects and where to watch and stream. With that, Ross and Dave, I thank you, and please plug your stuff, starting with Dave.
You can check me out here on YouTube at Halloween Year Round, or just HalloweenYearRound.com.
Ross.
YouTube.com/Planet X Film. Head over to Planet X Filmworks. I'm on X, and you can find all the links there. Go check out the Patreon. Do a lot of true crime stuff. Check it out.
Sweet. Well, that wraps up the party. I say the party is over. And one last thing, get off the internet.